Hello Guardian, ISO here. In this video we've got something just a little bit different. I wanted to talk about my favorite game mode in Destiny, Gambit. That's right, my favorite game mode is Gambit. A few seasons back, we released a new version of Gambit. Gone are the days of normal Gambit and Gambit Prime, now there's just Gambit. And if you were to ask somebody whether it was their favorite game mode, they'd probably have to say no. This whole new Gambit thing was done in an effort to keep players enjoying the game more. Did it work? If you look at the player numbers, the answer is clearly no. But if you ask me, yeah, this shit is fun. It's probably my favorite of the three core playlists. It's definitely my favorite. Vanguard strikes are just kinda boring. Crucible is clearly the backbone of a lot of players' activity in Destiny 2, but I just find myself uninterested. Gambit is where the mojo is. Gambit packs the drama. Gambit makes me feel cool. Now, why is this? I think Gambit is complex. It's got a lot of nitty-gritty details and nuance that I wanted to highlight and bring a lot of essence to, because a lot of people... The reason they don't like Gambit is because nobody else likes Gambit, so you go into a match and nobody knows what the hell they're doing, and then you lose. Learning how to effectively play Gambit is not easy for a beginner, and most people are confused their first few games. And even if you've never played, you're in luck, because I'm about to explain the entirety of Gambit to you. So this is how to enjoy Gambit. So first, let's think about actually the rules of Gambit. Let's go over the basics. 2 teams of 4 players, each team on their own map killing bad guys. You'll either be killing Fallen, Hive, Vex, Cabal, or Scorn. Scorn suck. They suck. A lot. Anyway. Bad guys will drop motes when killed. You gotta pick them up and then you bring them to the bank in the center of your arena. If you deposit 5 or more motes at once, you send a blocker to the enemy side, which is a big scary monster that guards their bank until killed. Basically, the more motes you deposit at once, the bigger the blocker and the more time the other team wastes killing said blocker before they can even access their bank. If 2 blockers ever exist on your bank at the same time, they begin to steal your motes and siphon them off to the other team's bank. So it's really important to kill blockers as soon as possible. But there's a catch, obviously. If you die, you'll get to respawn after about 10 seconds, but all of the motes you were carrying despawn completely. They don't just drop for someone else to pick up, they disappear into thin air. They're gone. Poof. At certain points in the game, a portal will open up which will allow one team member to jump over to the other team's arena and wreak havoc, which is called invading. The point of invading is to kill other players that are holding motes. Once your team has deposited 100 motes, the bank disappears and gets replaced with a gigantic boss monster called a primeval. It also spawns in with a bunch of bodyguards, which just adds to the danger. If a player dies during the primeval phase, the primeval regains a large portion of health, so it's crucial to stay alive. The first team to summon and slay their primeval wins Gambit. It's pretty damn complicated compared to Strikes or Crucible, right? Like, seriously, I don't get it. I don't understand why. Like, it's just, Vanguard, you just shoot bad things. Crucible, you just shoot other bad things except they're alive. Anyway, let's get into it. Let's talk about how to start your game of Gambit. When you start, the first wave of enemies will spawn at one of the 4 corners of the map, and it's important to go and kill them, obviously. This is a very momentum-based game. Good plays are rewarded, and if a team starts to win early, this provides a lot of gas for what the rest of the game is going to be like. The first 60 seconds of your Gambit game will decide if your team will be fighting a grueling uphill battle or a fast downhill coast. Though speed is the name of the game, if you die during this period, this cripples your team worse than any setback. Never die during the first wave of enemies or you will be behind for the rest of the game, and the rest of your teammates will hate you. Well, they probably won't even notice, but I'll hate you. I'll know. I'll see it happen. Every single time, I'll see it happen. If you're in a sticky situation, back up and come back with full health. Now, there isn't some golden rule that will win you every single game of Gambit you play ever. But if you only take away one thing from this video, let it be this. Are you listening? This is the important part. Don't bank first. Don't do it. Don't ever bank first. I know it makes you feel good. I know it makes you feel like you're winning. You look up at the scoreboard and it says it says 15-0, and that's a good little dopamine rush. But you know what's gonna suck is when they steal all those motes back, because that is really sad. Often, players will really aggressively bank first just to make their score higher and feel like they're winning, but I guarantee you, the first few motes that are banked will always be stolen by the other team. If the other team does not steal them, they don't deserve to win. Like, that's bad. Your team may have 25 motes in your pocket, which can usually bring about enough blockers to start draining motes, but why would you deposit first if your enemies don't have anything to drain? Just wait. Let your hot-headed opponents bank first, they'll summon the big scary blockers, just kill them. They're a pain to kill, but once you've killed them, your bank's open, and you can deposit all your motes, and then you can start stealing theirs, and then instead of being 25-0 or 0-25, now it's 50-0. You got to steal all their motes back, especially if you can collaborate with your team and bank all together at once. That's the real problem with this, is that a lot of times you're going in solo and playing with people that you don't even know. So you end up banking, and then nobody else is there to help. Like, you watch somebody walk right past the bank with 13 motes, and it's like, dude, come on, what are you doing? So don't bank first, ever. If done correctly, you can be halfway to your summon phase, and your enemy will have a completely empty bank. And it's been, like, 2 minutes. Like, that's not even an exaggeration. 2 minutes. Okay, so, the next important thing is efficient mote collection. Getting to 100 motes first is very important, but it is also important to make sure that you do so efficiently. When you bank a large number of motes, you get to summon a blocker. I already talked about this. If you have 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9 motes, you get a small blocker. If you have 10 to 14 motes, you deposit a medium blocker. And if you have 15 motes, you do a large blocker. So it's important to make sure that you're getting close to these thresholds without going over them. Because if you have 10 motes and your friend has 4, and there's a mote on the ground, don't pick it up. Don't be a dick, don't pick it up. Because if you pick it up, you'll have 11, and that doesn't get you anything more than a 10. But a 4 can turn into a 5, and that's good. That's a blocker right there. Often when I play, I like to have one person on the team not even grab motes, just focus on killing bad guys. Have the other 3 teammates grab and bank motes. This makes it easier for them to hit those 5, 10, 15 thresholds for blockers when you split the motes among 3 team members instead of 4. This playstyle is generally called Slayer and used to be a pretty big thing back when Gambit Prime was around. While being someone that collects and banks motes is called being the Collector. Slayers basically shouldn't have any motes on them, which allows them to play recklessly. Like, if you have a bunch of motes, you have to really be careful, because one bad step and you die and you lose 15, you might have just lost the entire game, like, unironically. So if you are the Slayer and you have 0 motes on your person, you can do whatever the hell you want. You can go in, you can shoot a rocket at close range and kill yourself too, who cares? Because that's an enemy dead, you know? Who cares if you die and drop all your motes since you have none? Just get in there and kill a lot of bad guys so your friends can go in and collect and they can start making blockers. And yeah, it'll show on the leaderboard that, you know, you deposited 0 motes, and if your teammate are assholes, they'll be like, oh my god, why do you suck? And it's like, listen man, I got all the kills, because that's on the leaderboard too. But, you know, nobody pays attention to the leaderboard. I personally love playing the Slayer playstyle, because it gets rid of all the stress of trying to grab motes before your teammates come in to steal them. Because so many times you're playing with complete randoms, and then you kill something, and then some rat just comes in there and they just eat all the motes. They just eat them, and it's like, God, why are you like this? Why am I like this? Alright, let's talk about countering invaders. When you get invaded, an opponent has entered your arena. You don't know where they are, you don't know what corner of the map they've entered from, but they know where you are. They can see your name tag through walls, they have more health than you, and they get 30 seconds to slaughter you and your entire team. Whenever you get invaded, it's super important, maybe not to prioritize them, but always keep your eyes peeled for where they could be, because if they catch you off guard, you're gonna regret it. They can see how many motes you are carrying, so if they invade and you have 15 motes, they're coming for you. Like, they're gonna track you down and they're gonna find you. because why would they go for anybody else? They're always going to come after those that have the most to lose. If you have somebody on your team that is using this Slayer playstyle, where you just go in and kill stuff and don't pick up motes, they should be the one that tries to find and deal with the invader to blunt the spear, since they have no motes to lose. So, like, if you go and try and start finding the invader, and you trade, yeah, that sucks, but if you had a bunch of motes on you, you just lost all those motes. So, if the Slayer goes and fights them, they don't have to worry about losing any motes. As soon as you're notified that you're being invaded, the Slayer should drop what they're doing and go look for the invader. Be ready to counter them by whipping out their heavy weapon. And another really good way to try and figure out where they are is that it'll never spawn an invader near teammates. So wherever you are, look on the other side of the map, and that's probably where they are. And most of the maps are split up into 4 quadrants, so it should make it pretty easy to figure out where they are. Also remember, you don't have to kill your invader. They only get 30 seconds to invade before they get pulled back. So if you can just keep them busy and keep them away from your team, even if you die doing so without losing any motes, that's a win. Now, let's turn this, let's flip it around. Let's pretend you are the invader. I'm not really personally into invading very much. I feel like I can do a lot more for my team, at least me as a player. I can do more, on my side of the battlefield, killing stuff. But if you're a masochist and you want to go kill some other people and, be a bad guy, yeah, let's talk about invading. When you spawn into the enemy arena, you won't be nearby your opponents, just like I said. So unless you're really good at traversing this map undetected, close-range weapons are absolute garbage. You should stick to long-range stuff. Don't invade and then just use your primary. You should be going in there with a special or a heavy. Sniper rifles and certain exotics like Xenophage and Arbalest are really good long-range options. Any kind of rocket launcher with a tracking feature is also pretty hard to ignore. Jotun and Truth are some really good examples that have good tracking. Those are really good exotic weapons. But if you don't want to waste, quote, waste, your exotic slot doing that, you can just take any purple rocket launcher that has the tracking rockets perk. That's what I do. It's also not a bad idea to go in with your super. The only problem is if you enter their arena and then activate your super, everyone will hear it. And, they'll know that something bad's gonna happen. But if you activate your roaming super, like, Stormcaller or something like that, and then go into the portal, they won't ever hear the audio cue. It's a nice little... I wouldn't really call it a glitch. It's not a glitch. It's just a nice little exploit. So just activate your roaming super before walking into the portal so the sound cue doesn't play for them. They'll still be able to see it in the kill feed at the bottom, but most people don't pay attention to that during Gambit, so don't even worry about it. This small element of surprise will really help out. Whenever I invade, I consider it a victory if I kill 2 people during the boss phase, since the boss regenerates health, or if I make them drop 6 motes from killing people. So one aspect of invasions that people don't really take into account are the mind games that you can play. Invading is the only way for you to directly mess with your opponents, and if you want to piss them off, this is the time and the place to do it. Go in there and use some really toxic shit like Jotun. Getting killed by a Jotun always makes me roll my eyes, and it'll do the same to your opponents. Walk in and activate an overpowered stasis super, or walk in and use a golden gun. Trust me, they will be smashing their keyboards. Remember, the team who tilts first always loses, and if you find yourself tilting, you've already lost. Like, have you ever been playing a game of Gambit, and then your entire team just gets absolutely shit on by an invader? Whenever this happens, sometimes you just stop giving it 100%, and you can't... You stop trying to go for the win. You stop caring. I want you to strive to be that invader. Being an invader isn't about having amazing gunplay skills or having perfect accuracy. Just go in there, press Q, or whatever your ult key is, and make someone cry. Make them cry. I want to see tears on the keyboard. However, on the flip side of this, sometimes you'll get destroyed by an invader, no matter how good you are. Somebody comes in there with Xeno, sorry dude, I don't like those chances. However much that happens, it's important to keep your chin up. I don't want to sound like a motivational poster. I don't want to sound like one of those posters with a little cat on it. It's like, hang in there. But, like, honestly, just try and one-up him. Don't give up. You can still come back. It's just not easy. The enemy team could have a 30-point lead on you, but all it takes is a really successful wave of enemies and blockers to drain their motes. You can really destroy their lead, and sometimes even your team will be leading after a good wave. Just keep fighting until the very end. Best case scenario, you achieve this amazing, spectacular god-tier comeback that you can brag about. Worst case scenario, the game's over, so go start another one. Okay, now let's talk about loadouts. What guns and subclasses you bring into Gambit will vary wildly based on your own personal playstyle, but there is one gun that is the absolute king, the absolute godsend above all other guns that you can ever bring into Gambit. May I introduce you to the Malfeasance Exotic Hand Cannon. Hand cannons are a fan favorite, so it's not that difficult or complicated to use. If you play Destiny, you probably know how to pick up a hand cannon, and if you don't know how to pick up a hand cannon, then, I don't know, maybe, I don't know. The Malfeasance Exotic Hand Cannon is a gun specifically designed to destroy enemies and guardians alike in Gambit. The main reason for this is its perk, Taken Predator. Malf deals bonus damage to taken enemies, which means blockers and the primeval, and invaders, because when you invade, you count as taken, which has some interesting lore implications. But anyways, hell yeah, sign me up. But we're not even finished, because it has another exotic trait, Explosive Shadow. If you shoot somebody 5 times, all of the bullets inside their body explode, which means this weapon is super good at killing anything, even if they aren't taken. And the best thing about it is that the explosions can happen even if you shoot a part of an enemy that's immune to damage, like a Phalanx's shield or something like that. And since it's just explosions, that means that it isn't affected by range fall-off. So even though your bullets will be dealing not a whole lot of damage from super far away, the explosions will still probably be able to kill something. So this gun has, like, infinite range. I bring Malfeasance into every game of Gambit I play, and if you don't, just please try it. Please try it already. If you haven't, just try it. It's really good. But as for your second weapon, it's a good idea to bring in a special weapon to help you deal heavy damage. If you want to destroy enemies, bring a shotgun. If you want to invade or help counter invaders, bring a sniper rifle. Fusion rifles and grenade launchers kind of fall in the middle, so use them if you want, I guess. I kind of like grenade launchers, and I've recently been getting interested in fusion rifles, but I think that's just because I'm kind of a hipster when it comes to weapons. Except for hand cannons. I'm kind of a slut for hand cannons. But you're heavy. Grenade launchers are good for killing large groups of bad guys or shredding through the primeval, obviously. Rocket launchers are a really good call too. Those with tracking rockets are amazing with invaders, like point and click. That's as easy as it is. As long as they're not near cover, and as long as they're not airborne, most people don't go airborne when they're invading because it makes them, like, more of a target, because invaders are trying to be sneaky and trying to kill you when they least expect it. So if you're able to get height on somebody, like, get higher than them and then hit them with a tracking, like, rocket launcher, they're done. Like, there's nothing they can do about it. Machine guns aren't bad, and swords can do a good amount of work if you don't mind getting up close. Linear fusion rifles are, I don't know. I've never really been a huge fan of them, other than, like, exotics like Arbalest. Arbalest is nice. Arbalest is cool. But, like, I don't know. I've never been super into linear fusion rifle. Oh, and swords. Don't go to the boss with a sword. Don't ever try and rush the primeval with a sword unless it's, like, tethered or something like that, because the amount of damage you're going to do is not going to be great compared to when it just boss stomps you and kills you and regains a bunch of health. So don't sword the boss. Alright, so I wanted to show you the weapons that I use when I go into Gambit. Obviously I'm using Malfeasance because I won't shut up about it. I have a breech-loading grenade launcher that has auto-load and quick draw. I have a Bad Omens that has tracking and quick draw. And for my exotic, I just use Ophidian Aspect just because I really like that extra ability to reload faster. I usually run a Orb of Power build to get Orbs of Power, and then I use the Argent Ordnance mod, which really allows me to go in and make sure my rocket launcher really hits for as hard as it can. That way, if I need to, I can start using my rocket launcher against the boss, instead of using it against other players. Let's talk about subclasses. Hunters, you guys are first. In honor of winning the 2021 Guardian Games, I will cover your subclasses first. Play Night Stalker, aka Void Hunter, if you want to help your team wipe the floor of enemies and the Primeval. Your Shadow Shot will be an amazing tool at dealing massive damage, and Night Stalker is the best support class in the game, other than maybe, like, Middle Tree Solar Warlock? But, like, I don't know. I still think Night Stalker is the best support class in the game. Your team will love you. Revenant, aka Stasis Hunter, is just plain good like all of the Stasis subclasses. Your super is best used on adds to completely wipe the arena. It doesn't really deal a whole lot of damage to targets, at least to bosses. It does a good amount of damage to, you know, normal creatures, but to bosses it doesn't really do much since bosses can't be frozen solid. It'll basically just disable them and stop them from shooting, but usually bosses don't have the most powerful weapons, at least Primevals. So, I don't know. If I was a Stasis Hunter, if I was a Revenant Hunter, I'd be hitting my adds with the super. But that's just me. Now, Titans. Top Tree Sunbreaker, aka Solar, is pretty good at running down enemies as an invader, and you can contribute pretty well to slaying enemies with your Hammer Strike ability. Behemoth, aka Stasis Titan, is probably the most powerful of the already overpowered Stasis subclasses, even after getting nerfed, like, I think 3 times. Glacial Slide into your own grenade to kill enemies, and use your super to clear the field or invade to piss off the enemy team. Defender, aka Void Titan, is actually pretty good. A lot of people don't like it, but it's pretty good. You won't be dealing as much damage as Sunbreaker or Behemoth, which is why people don't like it, but you'll be making up for it with utility and survivability. Middle Tree Banner Shield will grant bonus damage to allies that shoot through the shield, so use this when you're dealing DPS on the Primeval after killing the envoys. If you want to go for a nice memey fucky build, then use a Titan Bubble, and it'll definitely stop any invader in their tracks. You can even use Code of the Missile, Middle Tree Arc, if you really want to mess with people, because, like, hearing, you're in the middle of your damage phase, and then you hear the Drifter, and he's like, there's an invader on the field! And then you hear the arc sound, and this 400-pound hunk of armor and lightning just hurtles straight towards you. That is always funny. But last but not least, Warlocks. Surprise, surprise, it's Stasis. Use Shadebinder, aka Stasis Warlock, to absolutely destroy adds, and then the super can destroy a full team if you invade with it and kinda know what you're doing, but it's pretty easy. Stormcaller, aka Arc Warlock, has an amazing super that can destroy an entire wave of adds when they attack. Using Bottom Tree for Arc Buddy isn't a bad idea if you can coordinate with your team and get them to step into your rift and grab it too. I swear, most people don't even realize that you can just step in the rift. I walk in every rift I see just because I'm not sure. There's always that 1 in 9 chance that they're running Bottom Tree Arc. You can use Top Tree for the teleportation powers of Ionic Blink, which is really... that's the only way to really use that super. Using Bottom Tree, the super is just not as good. That allows you to evade damage when invading with your super and more reliably get those kills. Even Middle Tree is really good. Chaos Reach is one of the most powerful supers in the game, and you can delete a good portion of the boss's health. My personal favorite, though, I don't even think it's that strong, I just love it. Void Walker, aka Void Warlock. This is my main. Whenever I'm playing Warlock, not even in Gambit, just whenever the hell I'm playing Destiny, I'm almost always Void Walker Top Tree. But here I go, I'm going to talk about Bottom Tree. You can use Bottom Tree, which is Attunement of Hunger, which lets you gain full health after every Devour kill. Your Nova Bomb is an excellent way to clear the field or take out a good chunk of the boss's health, because either form, it's pretty good. If you use Top Tree, Slova Bomb, it creates those little Seeker mini Nova Bombs, which will seek out enemies. Usually they'll automatically double back on the boss and deal all of their damage to the boss anyway. But they might go and start taking out some of the envoys or other bodyguards that spawn, maybe a blocker that snuck in. So it's honestly not that bad. It's going to be dealing damage to something, so that sounds good. On the other hand, if you use bottom tree and you go for the quick Nova Bomb, it just creates a damaging, super grenade at the point of impact. But most of the time, the Primevals don't really move around that much. The only one that really does is the one that's like the Taken Captain, the big Taken Captain. But, I don't know, that's a pretty corner case scenario. It can also be used to get rid of blockers if you want. Like, I know it feels kind of like a waste to use your super on something like that, but like if you've got 4 blockers or something, yeah, I think that's a good idea to use your super, especially if like 2 of them are large blockers. That's a problem. No matter how many they are or how big they are, one Nova Bomb will just get rid of all of them. They'll just they're all gone. The only way that you can go wrong in Warlock is using, like, Middle Tree Void. Middle Tree Void is not really that good. I don't think so, at least. That's pretty much it. That's all the big points that are super important. And I know this is, like, a 30-minute video, which is a little long, but, like, thank you for sticking through and listening to this whole thing. That's pretty much it. This video has been kind of experimental because I had no idea if anybody else would be interested in this. But I'm so passionate about Gambit, I really just wanted to get this out there, and if this helps anyone learn how to, like, enjoy Gambit, I'll take that as a win, But I want to thank you so much for joining me today, Guardian. Make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, and remember that the best way to let me know you enjoy my content is to leave a like on this video or a comment down below. Thank you so much, and I hope you enjoyed the video.